So I have total six plus years experience into Java application support and Hadoop support. I worked even a few months in Hadoop development as well. So I'm looking into DBA, SQL and Azure.
Hello.
Yeah, Murali, yes.
Yeah, uh, I have. I'm Oracle DB architect. I have 14 years of experience. So the upcoming projects are coming in the SQL Server side. So I would like to learn so that I will get a more control on that project. So for that purpose, I would like to learn to complete SQL Server administration.
That's very good idea. Actually, nowadays everyone is looking for multi-domain. Okay, so either it can be SQL with MongoDB or MariaDB or PostgreSDB, Oracle with a SQL. There should be a combo. Okay, when
Yeah.
you are entering to the any organization, so they are looking for multi. That's very good, Murli, and thanks for hearing from
Okay.
you. Yeah, yes.
That-
Yeah, myself, Nadeem. I have 8+ years of experience in SQL, so I'm looking forward to learn about Azure. So that's why I thought of joining your training.
Okay. So what is we are going to cover complete Azure SQL. Okay. So what activities we will perform in real world. Okay. How to migrate. So what are the features? So what are the simplest features is available in Azure SQL that we are going to complete with end-to-end practical. Nadeem. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Nadeem. Uh, Pradeep or Sharat or Shiva.
Hi all, this is
Hi.
Sharat. I have 2 years experience in MX DBA, SQL DBA. I want to learn in Azure.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi, this is Pradeep. I have almost
Myself, so
10.
Uh, Shiva, just
Sorry to.
complete the Pradeep. Okay. Then we'll. Yeah.
Hi, this is Pradeep. I have total almost 10 years of experience, and from past 6 years, I'm working as in the operations team where we take care of like deployments and kind of this stuff. I'm handling some small team, but before I was working as a junior DBA in a company,
Okay.
so I just want to brush on my knowledge and again enter into this Azure and SQL uh, stuff and all that.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Pradeep, for sharing. Shiva, you can.
hi all, good morning. Myself, Shiv Shankar. I don't have any experience. I want to start my career in MSDB.
Okay. Okay, that's good, Shiva. You can just ping me or chat WhatsApp after later once in this session. I wanted to discuss with you. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. And Yadav is my old student. Okay. So he again joined over this batch. Okay. We are going to discuss complete today. Let me complete what I wanted to discuss. Later I will cover what content we are going to cover as part of next 2 months. Okay, next 2 months completely. So as part of today, okay, so we are just brushing up what is Microsoft SQL Server, the history of the SQL Server, what is SQL structured query language, then what is database. So how many Microsoft database products are released, like versions, in the sense versions. What is the key responsibilities as a DBA? What are the key responsibilities where we need to mainly focus? Okay, in a day-to-day our work when you're going, that is what very important. And everyone is having one intention how to troubleshoot. Okay, So in case if something happened wrong and I'm stuck somewhere, where do I need to start? Okay, the plug nothing but a tuning, performance tuning. Okay, and as a DBA, we are support engineers where you need to work for 24 by 7 model, right? Delivery model. Okay, how it will works. Okay, so what are the tools? What are the ticketing tools? What are the monitoring tools we'll use? Okay, in real world that we are going to see today as part of today. Okay, first, what is SQL Server? What is Microsoft SQL Server? See, Microsoft SQL Server among the biggest and most broadly utilized database management framework in the entire world. Yes or no? It's a database management framework, sir. Some completely you are storing your data. So throughout the global, Microsoft product is using database management is using where they are going to store the complete the data. It can be any data, sir. It can be like a banking or insurance or retail, okay, or products, any products, okay. Whatever we are designing, see, go to the e-commerce applications, Amazon, Flipkart, okay, Snapdeal, all the see any products, okay. So any like everything you can store somewhere, you need to store the data, right? So that can be SQL Server, that can be Oracle, that can be MongoDB, that can be any database management system. Throughout the global, we have around 350 database management systems. But as of as when we are working in India, so most probably around 10 to 15 database management systems everyone knows, I believe. Okay, but throughout the global, around 3 to 350 database management systems are available. Okay, when you go to global wise. So, sir, why then, sir, out of around 350, why I need to learn Microsoft SQL? So I came to know the Oracle is the leading database management provider. Yeah, I can prove, sir, why you are learning Microsoft SQL Server, why it is a competitor. Both are toppest competitor when you go to the database management system. Okay, on-prem. When you go to the on-prem database management system, so Oracle and Microsoft SQL Server is the both top competitors. When you go to the Azure cloud, when you go to the cloud providers, sir, AWS and Azure cloud and Google as the topmost competitor when you go to the cloud base. Okay. Okay. So Microsoft and Sybase released the version one. Sorry. This any questions?
No.
Okay. See, Microsoft and Sybase released the version 1.0 in 1889. Sorry, in 1989. Okay. So Microsoft SQL Server is purely designed by the Sybase. Okay, Sybase is our parent, like a Microsoft SQL Services tail when they introduced in 1989. However, the partnership between the two ended in the year of 1990. So the breakdown, the Sybase is one product, one database management system. Now Microsoft SQL Server is a one database management system. Microsoft maintained ownership rights to the name called SQL Server. Since 1990, the subsequent versions of SQL Server has been released, introduced by SQL to. We have lot many versions. We'll show you in next coming slides. 2000, 2005, 2008, 2008 R2, okay, 2012, 2014, 2016, 2017, and latest version is 2019. So latest, the everyone is now preferring to work with the version is 2019. Okay, so almost 2000, 2005, 2008, 2008 R2 is Microsoft stopped the support. Okay, now he's also encouraging everyone application who is using uh, SQL Server, upgrade your applications to latest versions to get the better feature, better optimized, better performance. Okay, this is the brief history of the SQL Server, how, where it, when it started, how it is designed. Okay, so everyone okay? Can I move to the next slide? Just today is the first session. I wanted to let you know everyone. Okay, please make the session more interactive. More interactive. You can
Okay.
ask the question, sir. Okay, just
Okay.
please make them more interactive. It is not like a one person who is speaking. Everyone is I no, not like that. Just make it friendly. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So basically, SQL Server will follows client server architecture. Okay. So SQL Server will follows a client server architecture. So client that can be a desktop, that can be browser. Desktop mean in the sense that can be your laptop, that can be your computer, that can be your okay, any product, sir, that can be okay. Browser, you can connect the database from the browser itself, right? See, whenever you are opening any URLs, so backend somewhere your data is residing, right? So assume when you are connecting to the ICAC portal or HDFC portal, okay, when you are trying to open the portal and when you are trying to log in, so where your username and passwords are residing, somewhere it need to be resided in the database, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Somewhere it need to reside in your database, right? So a client is nothing but okay. So that can be SQL Server Management Studio. That can be any client applications which is designed by their own products. Okay, that can be browser. You can open the browser and you can open any connections. Okay, please be mute who are not speaking. Okay, so and the applications are designed by Java, PHP, .NET, any applications, sir. Okay, so whatever you are opening the front end, whatever you are opening the front end, that can be designed by Java or PHP or .NET or WordPress. Okay, that can be any application designed using. Okay, so that will connect using the backend. That can be SQL Server, that can be Oracle, that can be MongoDB, that can be MySQL or DB2 or Teradata or Hadoop, any. So basically, our SQL Server Management Studio, our SQL Server will follows a client and server. There is no mediator, sir. Means no, there is no. Uh, See, when you go for Oracle apps, let me give you one example. So when you go for Oracle apps, there are three-tier architecture. It will follows three-tier architecture. Means you will have the front end, you will have the back end, then you will have the middleware. Java is the middle end, okay? So if you wanted to work with Oracle apps, you must and should require the Java. Without the Java, your Oracle apps tool won't works. Okay. So but when you go for SQL Server, it's a two-tier architecture, sir. Okay, two-tier architecture. Only we have the client and server. There is no middle. But how, why, sir, you mentioned the application means just for idea. So how they designed either using the Java or PHP or .NET. See, when you open ICICI Bank portal, when you open Facebook portal, when you open Flipkart portal, okay, so that portal can be designed by Java or PHP or WordPress or .NET, right? Yes or no? Okay, so clear.
Yes.
So we'll discuss a lot, sir, about the client server architecture. Just I wanted to show you a simple idea. It's Microsoft SQL Server will follows two-tier architecture. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the most popular database management studio management softwares is see Oracle, IBM DB2, SAP HANA, Microsoft SQL Server, Teradata, MySQL, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, Amazon Aurora is a cloud product, sir. Hadoop. Okay, when you go for big data, when you go for SAP, we have HANA. When you go for IBM, we have DB2. Okay, Oracle is the leading cloud provider. Now, sir, we have many database management system, right? So why I need to go for Microsoft SQL Server? I can go for Oracle. I can go for SAP. I can go for Hadoop. Okay, so there is a survey from sir every year. They will do surveys. In that survey, which is the topmost database management provider throughout the global. It is not in any region bound research, it is throughout the global. When you go for database management system software, Microsoft is the leading provider. I am not telling sir why we need to go for Microsoft. So throughout the global, so this is the leading provider. So which is the leading provider? Microsoft. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is the survey form. Will be continuous every 6 months in a year. Okay, twice they will consider, and they will make which is the product is. When you go for a cloud computing also, so almost AWS and Azure is almost nearby. Okay, so there is no gap between AWS and Microsoft product Azure. Earlier, before 2 to 3 years back, there is a lot of gap. So AWS is the topmost cloud provider throughout the global. Now almost there is no gap between AWS and Azure. That also will cover in next cloud session. Okay, why everyone is preferring to learn Azure. Okay, yeah. Now, so see, as part of this course, okay, so we are going to cover complete 3 modules, sir. So I just divided into 3 modules. So module 1 is completely core DBA, like complete from basic to advanced level will go. So we'll discuss about the architecture, internal SQL Server, internal architecture, how the data is storing, and what are the key factors when you go for core level, and how to perform the installation in command prompt, and how to perform the installation using the GUI graphical user interface. Then we'll go for securities, backups, restores, and all high availability and disaster recovery solutions. Okay, that is the core DBA will cover. And next module on top of that will cover, so complete the performance tuning, memory, IO, CPU, SQL OS, query timeouts, okay, application timeout. So completely will cover in the tuning part, performance tuning. Okay, then we'll go for Azure, and Azure will cover IaaS concepts, a basic IaaS, and then we'll completely discuss on the Azure SQL, because Azure SQL is a PaaS service. So in IaaS also we'll cover, because we are going to deploy high availability and disaster recovery on Azure. Okay, now no need to see to work with high availability, like to configure a clustering, to configure always on, you minimum will require 8 GB of RAM in your laptop. Okay, because you need to build the clusters. Okay, you need to configure cluster servers, right? So again, if you want to do enhance your RAM on your laptop, whether not sure whether it will compatible or not compatible. So for that one, what we are going to do, right? So we are going to build the cluster servers and always on servers for completely in the Azure. So you no need to again enhance your RAM or increase your RAM. Okay, even 8 GB RAM is not sufficient. Some performance will be a drag. At least minimum you need to maintain 12 to 16 GB of RAM if you wanted to build the clusters. So instead of again increasing RAM on our laptop, so we are no need to worry. We are completely building the cluster and always on over IaaS. Okay, so that is also we are going to cover in the Azure itself. Okay, so these are the 3 modules are going to cover as part of this training. Any questions? So no questions.
So migrations are not involved in this course.
No, migrations will involve, sir. So just I mentioned only few points. Okay, migration is the key factor. Migration is the key factor.
Yeah. Subbu, I hope you cover Azure from scratch to the advanced level, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Like scrap means everything will cover. So what is Azure SQL database, what is Azure managed instance, what are the differences, okay, how to perform the migrations, so how to control permissions, okay, what activities we can do, everything.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes, any questions? No questions, then we can move.
Yes, please.
Yeah, what is a SQL? Okay, everyone will call it as a SQL. Okay, what is SQL? Hey, not SQL Server management. Okay, not a Microsoft SQL Server. SQL is a language. SQL is a language. Okay, stands for structured query language. Is used to perform the operation on the record storing in the database, such as update record, delete record, create, modify, anything. Okay, so it is a language, sir, which contains in when you go for SQL, we have different five types of language, five types of languages, five types of commands you will perform. Okay, so when you go for SQL, so it is common, sir, when you go for Oracle, when you go for MySQL. So SQL is the common where you will use to perform the operations such as creating, dropping, deleting, truncating, everything. So this will perform in the SQL, structured query language. Okay, SQL is a just query language. It is not a database. It is not a database. It is just a query language where you can perform the queries. Where you can perform the queries. To perform the SQL queries, you need to install any database. Either you can go for Oracle, MySQL, Mongo, Postgres, SQL, DB2. So we will use the structured query language to perform the operations such as creating, deleting, dropping, inserting. Okay, all these operations will be done by the structured query language. To perform this, you require any database management system, sir. Okay, like Oracle, MySQL, Mongo, Postgres, SQL, DB2. Okay, a query. So you will get, sir, what is first of all query? A query is a set of instructions given to the database management system. That's it. A query is just a set of instructions, sir, you are giving to the database management system. Either you are creating a table or inserting the table or deleting the data or updating the data over the objects. Okay, just it is a type of instruction where we are passing to the database management system to perform certain activity. It can be anything. It can be update, delete, create, modify, alter, view, anything. Just it is an instruction to pass into the database management system to perform this activity. To perform this activity. Okay, it tells any database what information you would like to get from the database. Okay, so whatever the query you are performing, right, it tells any database what information you would like to get from the database. So mostly when you are writing anything over developers, okay, especially when you go for development, so developer will write the queries and they will perform the transactions. Okay, so they will perform the transaction. When you go to the transactions, sir, so there are two types of transactions, like implicit transaction, explicit transaction. Implicit means by default auto commit. Okay, explicit transaction means when you write the programming language. Okay, SQL is nothing but a implicit transaction, sir. So whatever the queries you are performing under the SQL, okay, that will be automatically committed. But when you go for T-SQL, let's see. So here in SQL, we'll call it as a T-SQL, sir, transaction SQL. It's a language, okay. So SQL and T-SQL will perform these two transactions in when you go for Microsoft SQL Server. When you go for Oracle, so you will call it as a SQL and you will call it as a PLSQL, programming language. Okay, these two. Here, this is a single transactions where you are going to perform. When you go for PLSQL, where you will write the programming, like creating the store procedure, creating the functions, creating the triggers, okay, which contains a bulk amount of statements. Okay, where you are keeping some some amount of statements in one programming language. In when you go for Microsoft SQL Server, where you will write the T-SQL queries. If you have the knowledge in PLSQL, almost you will or know about the T-SQL as well. Almost all same, only you may differ some declaration part differences. But whatever the content you will perform, whatever the activities you will perform in PLSQL, same activities you can done in T-SQL as well. But only one difference is maybe syntax a difference because these two are the different management systems. Okay, any questions? Any queries?
No.
No.
Sorry, someone? Yes.
Yeah, no question. So
Okay. Okay. When you go for SQL, so what are the languages are available? When you go for that SQL, what are the languages are available? So mostly there are 5 types of languages, 5 types of commands you will perform in when you go for the SQL. So that is DDL admin, DML, DQL, or DRL. You can call it as a DQL or DRL, and DCL and TCL. Okay, please try to remember all this. As you are a DBS also, you may get this type of questions in when you are attending all the interviews. Definitely, please remember the commands. What commands we exactly will perform in each language. Data definition language, data manipulation language, data retrieval language, data control language, transaction control language. Okay, so we have the separate session, sir. We'll discuss complete the development part. So I will take 1 hour. We'll spend on 1 hour session. So where we will see what the developers will do. So what type of objects they will create. What is okay? What is exactly the developer role? We'll discuss in that separate session. As of now, I'm just briefing. So these are the commands mostly we will perform in each languages. When you go for data definition language, where you are going to create the objects, drop the objects, alter the objects, okay, and truncate the data and rename. You can rename the object name. Okay, so these are the commands we will perform: create, drop, alter, truncate, rename. So you can create any object, sir. In database management system, you can use the create option for if you wanted to create any object like tables, views, a stored procedure, functions, triggers. So we will use the DDL. Okay, so create statement can be create the table, okay, views, stored procedures, functions, triggers, everything you can done with the help of create statement. So that is completely DDL command. Okay, when you go for drop, if you wanted to drop any object, okay, then you can go for a drop, completely object level drop. Okay, so when you go for alter, so for example, you created a table with employee, okay, employee ID, employee name, and you forget to add this date of joining and salary. Okay, later, so your customer or your application team requested, hey, can you please add 2 more columns to this object, salary column and date of joining column. Okay, then you can perform alter. Any modifications over the objects, you can go for alter. Okay, like adding the columns, okay, modifying the data types. You can, if you want to delete the column in the object, you can perform with the alter statement. And truncate, if you wanted to truncate the data, when you, so we have one important question here. So what is the difference between the truncate and delete? What is difference between a truncate and delete? So that we'll discuss in the development part. Okay, so truncate means, so it will keep the structure, sir. It will truncate the data, complete whatever the object having data, right? It will delete, but it will keep the structure. Someone is asking question. Okay, so it will truncate means it will keep the structure of your object, sir. It will delete the complete the data. Okay, and the rename means you can change the object name. So these are the commands will perform. Okay, in DDL language, data definition language. When you go for data manipulation language, where you can perform insert or update or delete, where you can perform insert or update or delete means inserting the data into the table or updating the data into the table, or you can delete the data in the table. Insert, update. These are the business transactions, right? Mostly these are the business transactions where you are going to perform throughout the global. See, when you go to the bank, you decided to open an account. So first what they will do, they will try to insert all your data, right? Yes or no? Online people. When you are going to purchase anything, any product, sir, okay, they will make your details, right? Your number, your name, your phone number, your personal details. They will collect all these and they will try to keep in their database, right? So that first time when you are going, so that will perform like a insert operation. So when you go for update, means, so for example, you have switched from one location to another location, or you wanted to change your mobile number or your email address, then you will perform update, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so when you go for delete, I wanted to close my account. I want to close my account. Then you can go to your nearest bank where it is available. Then you will ask, okay, please delete my account from the database. So you will perform the delete operation. So these are the 3 business transactions you will going to perform throughout. Not only you, everyone throughout the global. These are the 3 business transactions we are performing: insert, update, delete. Then DRL. Okay, so data retrieval language is nothing but select. Select, only one command, select. Data retrieval language, sir. Okay, so for example, you wanted to see your bank statement. Okay, so you wanted to see your bank statement. What you will do, you will first connect to the portal, and you will go to the statement tab, and you will enter the from so and so date to so and so date, and you click on OK, means you will get the bank statement, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
So what internally is happening, sir? Internally it is performing the select statement. You are retrieving the data. So whatever available in the database, whatever data is available in the database, you are trying to retrieve it. You wanted to see what is available in the database, then you will perform the select operation. If you wanted to see the data, you will perform the select operation, sir. Okay, clear? Not clear?
Yeah, clear.
So when you go for DCL, data control language, okay, so we will perform 2 operations. One is grant, one is revoke. How you will perform what are the both commands you will perform? So DCL, TCL, please try to remember these 2 languages. So mostly they may ask what are the activities you will perform between DCL and TCL. Okay, even because DCL will comes into the DBA part. So we will grant the permission, will revoke the permissions, right? So granting means allowing. So if someone wanted to access my database, someone wanted to perform anything on my database, I need to first grant the permission, right? Without granting the permission, how they can access my database, my data? No one, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, grant means allowing us, allowing the users to access my database, my data. Okay, revoke means just revoking the permission means again removing the permission from the database. No one can access your data and database. Okay, these are the 2 commands you need to remember when you go for DCL, data control language, transaction control language. Means developers will use these these commands: commit, rollback, save point. Okay, so commit means when you perform the commit means it will directly enter into the database. Okay, so rollback means if you want to revoke the changes, so whatever the changes you performed just now, you can go for rollback option. Revoke. Okay, not revoke means not permission. Rollback means you are reverting all the changes you performed just now. Then we'll go for rollback. Save point means so whenever developers start the writing the program, sir, they will keep one save point so that up to whatever they performed, that will be saved. Okay, in the cache. That will be saved in the cache. So these are the three commands they will use, developer will use when they are writing the programs. Okay, when they are writing the programming like a T-SQL, sir. These commands only applicable in T-SQL, sir, not in SQL. Okay, SQL is a query, just you are performing one transaction. Okay, so just you are performing a transaction. But when you go for T-SQL, when you go for PLSQL, so mostly they will use commit, rollback, and save point. Okay, clear? Not clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Clear.
Okay, now, okay, sir, you are telling some data, database, something, blah, blah. Okay, so what is first of all data? A simple words, data can be fact of related to any object in consideration, right? Any object that can be a human being, that can be any product. Okay, right? Yes or no? Somewhere you need to store, right? See, when you go to the bank, sir, take a bank, everyone, because everyone is having a bank account, right? Okay, so when you go to the bank, what are the information they are asking? What are the information you are passing to them, and what information is storing? Your name, your name, your contact number, your address, your mobile number, your email address. Yes or no? All in people. Even when you are going to the any network provider and you are taking, sorry, please, my intention is please try to join from the mobile. Okay, that will be very good. Okay, someone is completely echo. The voice is echo. Okay, please be joined over the mobile. Okay, that will be very good instead of joining from the laptops. Okay, keep your headset. Join from the mobile. So there won't be any echo sounds when you are wanted to ask any questions. Okay. So data is that can be, okay, for example, that can be age, that can be height, that can be weight, any data, sir. Okay, where you are storing in the somewhere where you are storing. Okay, so that where we are storing is nothing but call a database. Okay, database is a semantic collection of data. That's it. Database contains just data, sir, in a arranged format. See, let me take you one example. So when you go for Amazon, when you go for Flipkart, when you go for Snapdeal, just know the products are came, sir, and they will deliver the products. Will that products will be arranged first? Once the products came and they will keep in the godown, they're not yet arranged, sir. But when you go for database means they will arrange the data in the form of tables, in the form of objects. Okay, so database is a, like a database where technically you can call it as a data which is arranged in a proper structure to retrieval faster. It will help us to retrieve the faster data. Okay, so in the database, so database supports the storing and manipulating the data, and data makes the database management easy to see the data, to modify the data. Okay, so that will be very easy when you go to the database. So that is why everyone will prefer to keep everything in the database management system, because it is properly arranged. Okay, clear? Any questions?
No questions.
Okay. So this is what's how your data center looks like, sir. Okay. So the topmost are the two data center which is arranged in a proper way, where you can get the data, where you can see what data, see how the data is arranged, how the database centers, data centers look like. When you go to the any data center, every office will maintain, sir, a small data center, but they will maintain a separate data center to store entire the data, right? So this is the data center how it will looks like. Racks. It is a collection of racks. Each rack will maintain common power supply, common storage, common network. Okay, each rack, sir, each rack will contain common power supply, common data storage, and common network. Okay, so where you can keep all the servers. This is how your data center looks like. See how in bottom, if your data center is look like this, okay, then how anyone, if something happened to your server and you wanted to bring, can you go and start the server? See how difficulty. So how your data center earlier, like 10 years or 12 years back, okay, this is how they are managing the data centers. Very complex, very ugly, where you can go and see something happen to my server in the data center. Now this is how your data centers are managing. Getting online people? So earlier, like a 10 to 15 years back, how the data centers are managing. Okay, now how the data center. Anyone till now your career went to your in your organization where you are working to the data center and switch on, switch off your servers? Anyone?
Yeah, I done. Yeah, I done.
How your data center looks like? Top of the image or bottom of the image?
Top of the image. My front side will be top of the image.
Okay.
Back side, lot of cablings will be there. That is
Yes,
also
exactly.
properly organized.
Yes, sir, exactly. Okay, so this is how. Okay, so this is how your data centers maintain. Okay, where each having rack having multiple servers which maintain the common power supply, common storage, common network. Okay, so this is how your data center looks like when you go to the real world. Okay, so what exactly we are performing, sir? So what exactly we are performing? See, when you start, so you are working in India, right? When you are working in India, you are supporting to the sub projects with like UK or some other UK, US, okay, Singapore, Australia, right? And you are trying to access the servers, and you are trying to perform the operations, right? Yes or no? Yes or no? The servers which is hosted on US or UK or Australia or Singapore, and you are connecting from India with your network, okay, and you are performing some transaction, either you are inserting the data or updating the data. What exactly will happen, sir? Sorry. Okay, so when you start connecting to the servers, it will directly interact with the server which is available in the rack. Okay, and then you can process the transactions. So this is how you will process internally. Okay, so from your desktop, from your laptop, okay, you are trying to connect to the servers which are hosted in their data centers. Either it can be US, either it can be UK, either it can be any other reason, sir. Okay, first you are connecting, okay, to your servers which are hosted on the data center. Then you are trying to process the transactions. That internally it is happening. So this is how internally you are processing. So whatever the data you are processing, that will again give the response to you, right? Whether your transaction is successful or your transaction is failed. Okay, something you will get the response as well, right? Yes or no? Online people?
Yeah,
Yes,
we'll
sir.
get.
Yeah, so that is what's this complete process model, how it will works. Okay, so when you are trying to perform any transactions, it will connect to your servers where it is hosted, and it will try to insert or update or delete or something, and it will again sends response to your, again it will sends response to you. Okay, this is how the process will works internally. So we are not sure. Let me ask you one question, simplest question. So let me anyone tell me that how many servers are maintained by Google when you open www.google.com? How many servers are maintaining by YouTube or Netflix or Amazon? Anyone? Any idea? Any guess? It's
They are
like a
storing
bulk
updates.
amount of. We cannot tell thousands, okay? We cannot tell thousands, okay? That can be lakhs, okay? So, so that's what how they are maintaining all these. We'll discuss in the next coming, okay, sessions. When you go for Azure, also we'll discuss a lot, okay? So this is how your process. So everything whatever we are processing, okay, that will directly connect to your data center, and it will try to insert or update or delete or retrieval, and again it will get response to you. Okay, so that simplest process model, sir, I want to discuss how you will perform internally. What when you are trying to insert or update or delete. See, when you open the Flipkart or when you open the Amazon, and when you try to place a order, when you try to place a order, okay, so what exactly is happening? It will connect to the backend servers, and it will verify that product is available or not. So if it is available, then it will place your order. If product is not available, then it will your order will be failed, right? Some response you are getting, right? Order is placed, order cancelled, order declined. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
That's what backend, sir. It's everything. This process model is in backend. It's happening over the backend. It is not like a front end where you are seeing. But whatever we are seeing front end is, we will open the Amazon or Flipkart or a Snapdeal and will place orders. Okay, what is happening in the backend means it will connect to the database server, and it will verify whether the product is available, what is the price, then it will place your order. It will place your order with your name. So that this is happening over the backend. Sometimes when you see when you go to the banks or SBA nearest bank, right? They will tell us, okay, uh, server is under maintenance mode. Yes or no? So server is
Yes.
down. Server is under maintenance mode. Okay.
Yeah.
Now server is under maintenance mode is different, sir. Means they are performing some upgrades or they are performing any cleanups. Okay. When you go for server maintenance mode, but when server is crash, that we'll discuss in next slide, sir. Okay. Server is under maintenance mode. When you open even the site, when you open www.facebook.com or www.gmail.com, sometimes very rare case you will see site is under maintenance mode. Site is under maintenance mode means they are performing some cleanups or upgrading, or they're performing some any activities. They will keep your application, your servers into maintenance mode. Okay, they will keep, and they will keep in the maintenance mode because they need to notify to the customers, right? So whoever accessing application, we are not sure whether our Facebook is accessible or Facebook is down. So when we open www.facebook.com only, we came to know, okay, when you open, okay, server is under maintenance mode. They're performing some upgradation or cleanupping the disk or the network or anything. Then they will keep the maintenance modes. Okay, so this is what the process will happen in backend. And okay, the high availability. This is also one interesting concept we'll discuss more days. Okay, very in detailed way. Okay, no worries. High availability. Always your applications need to be run. Okay, so where they are maintaining the organizing the power, network, storage, backups, reports. Okay, so to maintain your applications. Okay, maintain your application that need to be run for 24/7 and 365 days. Okay, so they will configure in backend, they will configure the high availability techniques. That can be anything, sir. Mirroring, lock shipping, clustering, always on, Okay, that can be any technique. Okay, every time when you open your application, that need to be accessed. So to access, so in backend they will maintain the high availabilities, they maintain the load balancer. They need to balance the load, right? So whenever user connectivity is high, okay, so you may notice the performance lag for your applications, right? So for that they will maintain the common power, network, storage, backups, reports, to maintain the high availability to your application. This is the application, so which is trying to store in 3 different servers. If something happened to this server, no worries, automatically server move to this. Okay, your connections will move to the server node 3. Assume this is node 1, node 2, node 3. If something happened to node 2, node 3 will come to online immediately with a fraction of seconds, and your application can access. Okay, this is what happening over the backend. Okay, the one more major is disaster. Okay, this is something happened, this is naturally or human made mistake. Okay, so that will comes into the disaster. Okay, either you are performing any delete operation. Okay, so you got a request to delete a transaction, but suddenly someone perform a drop the table entire, he dropping entire the table. Yes, hi Murli, you want to ask any question? Okay, okay, so disaster is not equal to high availability. Okay, disaster is, first of all, everyone need to know, a disaster recovery is not equal to high availability. Murli, just ping your email address. Okay, before leaving, everyone please ping your mail address. Okay, so that I can share the recording to everyone. Okay, please ping your email address for the chat window. I can collect all this and I will send the recording. Okay, see, DBA's job is to protect the data, secure it, and make it available. That is what, right, DBA work. They need to protect the data, they need to secure the data, and they need to make data is should be available. Okay, it should be available. That is the first thing, DB activity. Next, all hardware dies eventually, means suddenly your complete your data center gone crashed. Suddenly something happened and your entire data center gone collapsed, or server gas collapsed. Next, what is the next approach? Okay, here you are only as good of your last restore, not your backup, sir. Sir, you will tell, so assume you have the backup files. Sir, I am taking everyday backups, okay, to secure my data if something happened wrong. But when you are trying to restore it, your backup is failing. You are maintaining one hard disk, external hard disk, right, where you will keep all your personal data, okay, official data in your external hard disk, right? But from your point of view, okay, I'm having the backup on my hard disk. But when you try to connect it and when you are trying to copy it, your hard disk is not detecting. Then how you can tell we have the backup? Until you perform the restore, we cannot judge, okay, this is the good backup. Okay, so that is what, you are only as good as your last restore. Until you perform the restore, we cannot judge, right, I am having the backups. Okay, so every time you need to at least verify whatever the backups you are telling or taking, right, that need to be healthy or not. Something happened to a backup, sometimes even something will happen to backup files, and backup files also will corrupt, right? So that is what, your customer expects the data to be always to be available. Okay, customer point of view, every time when you open any urls like www.google.com, facebook.com, amazon.com, okay, every time you need to access the applications and you need to see your data and you need to see your order. Okay, that is what expect from the customer, right? So to fulfill this, so there are two concepts, sir. So one is high availability. High availability will comes into RTO, recovery time objective. We'll discuss a lot, sir. Okay, So these two concepts will discuss log around 10 days. We'll spend 10 days, okay, to complete all these two concepts, high availability and disaster recovery. So what is the RTO, what is RPO? Okay, recovery time objective, recovery point objective. Okay, so that two will comes into the high availability and disaster recovery. Okay, so high availability means within the data center, sir. Within the data center, if something happened, that will comes into high availability. So disaster recovery means something happened to entire my data center. Okay, so what next approach is another data center. Okay, so that will comes into the disaster recovery. Data center level, disaster recovery. Server level, high availability. Okay, clear? Not clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay, now SQL Server release history, sir. Okay, so but as I told you, right? So Microsoft introduced the first version 1.0 with 16-bit architecture. Okay, now we are using 64-bit architecture operating system, right? When you go 1989, there is no concept of 64-bit architecture. That the OS itself is having 16-bit architecture. So Microsoft is completely designed a SQL Server with 16-bit architecture, SQL Server 1.0 in 1989. Okay, so they will have some codes. Okay, like now recently we are using 2019 completely with the 64-bit architecture. After 64-bit architecture, they have the 32-bit architecture. After 32, we are using currently 64-bit architecture. So what is the difference? You will notice not 16-bit architecture. So we are not discussing 16-bit architecture. So we are going to discuss completely on 32-bit and 64-bit. So what are the difference you may notice when 32-bit architecture and 64-bit architecture? Now no more everyone is using 32-bit architecture, but you must and should know the differences between 32-bit and 64-bit architecture. Mostly you will see the differences in memory, sir. When you go for 32-bit architecture, memory will perform in a different way when you go for 64-bit architecture. So when we are explaining the memory architecture, memory troubleshoot, okay, so I will explain the more differences what you will notice in 32-bit architecture when compared with 64-bit architecture. There are some limitations, sir, in 32-bit architecture when you go for memory level. When you go for memory level. Yes. Nadeem, you are asking something? Okay. So if you wanted to work with 2000, I will share you the link, sir, where you can go and download all the setup files since SQL Server 2000 onwards. But Microsoft is completely stopped the support for 2000, 2005, 2008, 2008 R2. So completely stopped the support, sir. Okay, we are no more supporting. Okay, 2008 R2 until 2008 R2. So completely Microsoft stopped the support. When your application is running with the 2000, 2005, 2008, 2008 R2, and you stuck somewhere and you wanted to help from the Microsoft, even you create a case to the Microsoft also will tell, okay, we are no more support these products. We can guide you, but we are no more support. Okay, so this is what you will get the response from the Microsoft. Microsoft is telling that please upgrade your applications to the latest versions where you can get more features, performance improvement, okay, more enhancement on done on the latest features. Okay, these are all the features releases done by Microsoft since 1989 onwards. Okay, till we are under 2020, so we are using SQL Server 2019 version. Okay, so these are the internal database versions. So these are external. Please remember external versions. Okay, and there will be also internal version. Where you can see this internal version, I will show you in the backup concept. When you take the backup, okay, of your database, it will store the internal version, sir. It won't tell you, okay, the backup is taken on 2012, 2014, 2016. So when you take the backup of your database, it will store, the backup will store the internal version. By seeing the internal version, we came to know, okay, this backup is taken on which version. Okay, but edition no. Edition no, you can get the information about the internal version, or sorry, version level. Okay, that level of info you can get it from the internal. When you see, mostly see internal version means when you are taking the backup and performing the restores, definitely you will notice that. I will show you the practical. Okay, so clear? Not clear?
Subbu, which versions we are implementing or we are
Uh,
using?
we are using still because uh, my students are working in currently is all working in different environments, right? So still they are telling, so sir, I am using 2000, can you please help, somewhere I stuck. Okay, still we are using 2000, sir. But when, so let me tell you, okay, quantity. So for example, you are maintaining 500 servers, sir. Out of 500 server, 1 or 2 servers are in the 2000, 2005. Very less quantity, sir. But still, I cannot tell you that we won't use 2000, 2005, 2008, 2008 or 2. That is up to our project budget application team, right? We are just supporting, but we are not sure. But 70 to 80% we are using the latest version, like 2012, 2014, 2016, 2017, and 2019. But till 10%, like a 10 to 5 to 10%, we are using 2000, 2005, 2008, 2008 or 2. Recently, like 2 months back, I believe, one of our student has performed the upgrade from SQL Server 2000 to 2014. We faces a lot many challenges because at 2000 we have a lot many, whatever the scripts we are using now, that is not compatible in 2000, right? So lot many challenges. Finally, we upgraded. Okay, that's, I am not telling that you need to learn 2019, 2017. Okay, so we have 2000, 2005, 2008, 2008 or 2. Still, like not high quantities, are very less quantity, like 5 to 1 to 5%. That's it. Don't tell like a 5 to 10% also. 1 to 5% still we are under 2000, 2005. 5 to 10% are 2000, 2008 or 2. The remaining is higher versions only. Most of the challenge you will face in 2000, sir, while you are migrating. So it's most of the challenges, because so whatever even Microsoft given the scripts is not compatible. Lot of the compatible in 2000. Clear?
Okay, so how we can differentiate while we are migrating from 2012 to 2016 like that?
What are the steps you need to take while you are performing the upgradations, right?
No, upgradation I think we can discuss in future, but my doubt is so how we can find that difference between like 2012 and 16.
See, you need to go for like a release time, sir. What are the features are compatible? What are the features released in 2016 when go for 2012? See, in 2012, the major changes always on. The highlight of the feature which is introduced on 2012 is always on. Okay, when you go for 2016, lot many changes. In 2016, lot many changes. In 2014, we have only one enhancement, major enhancement, that is okay, cardinality estimation. So after 15 years, after 15 to 15 years, Microsoft updated the cardinality estimation in 2014. Till here we are using one cardinality estimation till 2012. 2014 we are using a new cardinality estimation. When you go for 2016, lot many changes when you are performing installation, when you are using the features, lot many features. When you go for 2016, the awesome feature is Linux. So completely you can till now, till 2016, Microsoft is strictly hold on Windows platform. Till 2016 you are completely on Windows platform, sir. On 2017, Microsoft is enhance the platform where you can keep your SQL, where you can run your SQL on Linux platform. On 2019, in 2019, Microsoft enhanced like completely designed SQL Server in the like a mission level language. Okay, okay, where you can install your SQL on Docker. Docker's like a containers. Okay, Kubernetes Dockers is like a container where you can install your SQL on the container basis. So see the enhancement, see the features, whether it will help you. So what is your application requirement, then you can suggest either you can go for 2014 or you can go for 2016 or go for 2017 or 2019. So your application team is asking, I don't want Windows platform, I want Linux platform. Definitely you need to go for 2017 or 2019. You cannot go beyond like 2014 2016, right? There is no platform, only Windows platform. Got you?
Okay.
So what are the steps? What are the pre and post steps we will perform? That we'll discuss a lot in migration upgradation sessions. Okay. 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 So this some I just mentioned a few of configurations. Okay, where you need to majorly look into when you are performing installation. When you as a DBA, you must and should know how to install the SQL Server. That is the first thing. You don't know how to connect. Okay, for example, you don't know how to perform anything. You don't know the troubleshoot. No worries, sir. As a DBA, first everyone must and should know how to perform the SQL installation. How to perform the SQL installation. Okay, so these are the few configurations everyone need to keep in your mind. Okay, when you performing the installation or when you are working with a SQL Server, like a memory configuration option, cost resource parallelism, maximum degree of parallelism, affinity mask, optimize ad hoc workloads, fill factor, blocking process threshold, data file layout, database file layout, database compression. Okay, database administrator will comes into all this only. Keep the statistics up to date. Okay, keep your stats up to date. Maintain the index defragmentation, recycle the error log. Okay, avoid the database functions such as auto close or auto sync. Okay, database backups and incremental and t-log backup frequency, like a differential backup and t-log back frequency. So these are the few configurations and few parameters where we need to, we'll discuss lot one by one. All these options we'll discuss in throughout our session, but these are the few concepts everyone need to remember when you as a DBA, when you start the installation itself, you need to know how after the installation we need to configure the memory, we need to configure the cost threshold, max drop, affinity, optimize workload, fill factor, blocking process threshold. So these are all key factors we need to look into after you perform the installation. We just perform the installation, hey, our task is done. Okay, we'll tell to application team, yeah, I completed the installation. Then who will change the configuration, all these parameters? As a DBA, these all parameters are most important, which may affect the performance, which may improve the performance, right? If you're not changing this one, definitely it will impact the performance. But up to your project, sir, how they are working. Okay, so even I saw in my previous organization also, we will just install the SQL Server, we'll hand over to the application team. Hi John, as per your request, we have completed the SQL installation, please test your application. But we won't perform these changes. But as a best practices, as a DBA, you need to follow all this. Okay, once you complete the installation. Okay, we'll discuss all what especially they will do when you go for memory, when you go for cost reserve, when you go for max drop. You can call it as a max drop as well. Okay, so clear. So whoever seeing the first time, so definitely you will get lot many doubts. No, sir, we'll discuss all one by one with detail, how to configure, where we need to configure. So what is the purpose of max drop? What will impact if I change the value, if not changing? So everything we'll discuss in practical. Okay. So everyone good? Can I move to next slide?
Sure. Yes.
So no questions. Only one speaker over the session. He's right. Please ask, okay, clarify your doubts. That will be very more interactive, okay? Don't feel shy anything, okay? So whether it can be small question or medium question or it's like a top, ask and clarify your doubts. That is what you are spending 2 hours time in this session, right? In weekend you are sitting for 2 hours, you are listening something. Clarify your doubts, ask any number of questions, okay? From my point of view, just ask, okay?
Okay, Subbu, see, this is understand. Okay, so here we are selecting all these options, right? So in
Yes.
interview, will they are going to ask all these details about?
No, what are the best practices you will follow after the SQL installation, Maruti? That question they will raise. Good question, actually. So, what are the best practices you will follow once you perform the installation? So, these are all best practices, right? See, these are all best practices on right. Memory configuration, max drop, cost of parallelism, okay, ad hoc workloads, fill factor, all will comes into the best practices after you perform the installation. As a DBA, we need to perform all this, but that is up to your project, okay, how they are working.
Okay.
But try to remember all this once we complete the installation also. Uh, uh, After maybe next 3 days, okay, we'll start the installation. First, we'll complete the basic part, architecture, storage, everything. Then we'll go for installation. We'll perform the GUI and we'll perform the command prompt. Yeah, Vinod, you were asking something?
Yes. One question like for database, for one database, we have MDF and LDF files, right?
Yes.
Okay, so here, like if I create multiple data files like NDF, and
Okay.
if I don't to keep it as NDF files, only I need to make only one single MDF file. So can I make it? Is it possible to?
Actually, your voice is breaking. Let me ask you let me repeat the question. Okay, you are asking if I keep one MDF and LDF is how it right?
Yeah, earlier I have like multiple NDF files.
No, that
Okay.
is up to your phone. See, let me give you. So, for example, my database size is a small database, sir. So, database sizes can be 50 GP, 100 GP, 200, 300, 1.5 terabytes. See, I saw around 15 to 17 terabyte of one database size. Can you keep 15 terabyte in one file? No,
No,
right?
it's not
What
possible.
we will do, we
Yes.
will divide the data. Okay, we'll keep multiple database files and we'll load the data in multiple so that at least our database performance will be good. Okay, so
Mhm.
see, that is to improve the performance, to improve your data retrieval, to improve the load when you are inserting on huge databases. Okay, instead of keeping in single file, keep in multiple data files, Vinod. That is the
Yeah,
best
that is
option.
fine. Yeah, that is the best option due to performance. Okay, we can go for that
Yes.
option, right? But
Yes.
if I don't want to like multiple data files, only the single file I need to know. I need to want and then.
Yeah, you can keep it, but it may impact sometime. If your database is keep on growing, it will impact. You
Mhm.
can keep one MDF, one LDF. By default, when you create any database, you will get two files. One is one
Yes,
MDF, one
yes.
is one LDF. Yes.
Okay. After that, if we create multiple, then how we can make it to only one MDF?
You can have one option, sir, when you go to the sync. When you go to the sync option, okay, let me show you. So this is the SQL Server Management Studio. It's a client tool, sir. By default, Microsoft is providing if you wanted to access your SQL Server. Okay, whoever seeing the first time, no need to worry. We will explain a lot about in coming session. Okay. Yes. See, Vinod, empty the file by migrating the data to the another file in the same file too.
Okay, but here like in my database, I have like 4 to 5 NDF files. Okay, all the files are having some space, like hundreds of GBs.
Okay,
Okay,
you
but
can
I need
shrink.
to make it. Shrink is
If
not
you want
possible. I
to,
think
no,
already
if
I
you,
tried. Already I
why?
tried that option. So it is taking like for
No, no, no.
48 hours or 50 hours. I
No,
waited for that.
you need to go for incremental sync. Vinod. I can share you the link. Okay. Whenever your database size is huge and if you want to release some space, okay, don't go and directly perform the shrink operation. You need to go for a command line incremental script. You can create a job. So let me provide you one link, Vinod. That link you
Oh,
can use that code and you can change the value like 1 GP. Every turn it will shrink 1 GP. You create a job and leave for the day. It will take some time and it will perform the incremental shrink. Okay, every one GP it is coming to shrinking and it is releasing the space to the disk. We cannot go for huge databases. We cannot go and directly from GUI or graphical user interface normally. Don't perform that, may impact the performance. You can go for incremental shrink. There is option.
okay. If we have multiple data files, there is no problem with that, right? It may like improve the performance, right?
No, after you see that best practices, we cannot shrink the data files. As a best practices,
Yes.
we never encourage the shrink the data files. Even
Yeah, definitely.
sometimes the case to case. Let me give you one example. Okay, uh, that database is not very huge. Approximately, it's like a 600 GP in my environment, and completely disk
Okay.
got full. And I asked application team to clean up to perform the housekeeping. I asked application team because disk got full, please perform some cleanup to release the space to the disk. And application team told, okay, we are unable to perform any cleanup, and we don't have budget to increase the disk capacity. We don't have budget to increase the disk capacity, and they are not able to clean up the data. But when we went at instance, we have 3 databases. Out of 3 databases, one database is having 600 GP. Out of that 600 GP, we is having around 300 GP is free space. Okay, then we take an approval. Then we perform the incremental sync to shrink the 300 GP. After that, we perform the index rebuild and update statistics. So once you perform the shrink of the data file, perform rebuild, perform update statistics before handovering to the application team. Before informing to the application, yes, done. Just perform these 2 activities, then inform to application team. Yes, we perform the shrink. That is a best practice.
Okay.
Good. Any other questions?
No.
You can just ping me separately. I will share you the link. Okay. The incremental
Sure.
sync. I can help you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
See that is the one. When you use databases, don't perform like directly from the GUI or normal command prompt. It is hectic for us. So because we also struggle a lot, then we go to the incremental. It's worked. Try definitely it will work. Okay.
Yeah. Now I'm facing that challenge, so that's why.
Yeah, definitely I can help you. Just ping me over the WhatsApp. I will share you the link. Okay.
Fine.
Yeah. So as now the best one of the was is where we need to start the troubleshoot. Someone see application team is coming or developers are coming or testers are coming, some customers are telling that, hey, I am not able to connect to the application, my application is very slow, I'm getting the timeout issue, my queries are running. So definitely you will get this type of questions from your customers or your vendors, right? Yes or no? So when you go to the SQL point of view, it's difficult where we need to start. In our brain we'll have lot many bubbles like memory, network, new code deployment, tempdb, application updates, as configuration, IO, indexes, deadlock, blockings. So where we need to start in your as a DBA, in our brain we have lot many bubbles, sir. Where we need to start from? you need to start from CPU, or you need to start from memory, or you need to start from indexes, you need to start from blockings, you need to start from deadlocks, you need to start from TempDB, you need to start from application code. Where we need to start? So if someone is contacting you and they are telling, hey, hi Vinod, I am facing some performance issue when I'm trying to connect to the database. I'm not able to run any query. So how Vinod will start? How Sharath will start? Hi Sharath, I'm not able to run any query. Hi Shiva, while I'm running the query, I'm getting the timeout. So these type of like scenarios you will get in real world, right? Yes or no? Online people? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay, where we need to start. So that will comes under completely tuning module, sir, where we are going to start in the tuning, how to start the troubleshooting. Okay, so that, see, we need to follow one approach to get the better outcome. Okay, so what are the inputs you need to gather from the application team? So for example, I am the customer and you are the DBS. I am telling, hey, I am running the query and I'm getting the timeout. So what you will ask? What you will get info from me? That is what, right? So for example, I'm a DBA and you are the customer. I will ask this type of questions. What transactions you are performing? Whether you are performing insert or update or delete or select. How frequently you are performing? Okay, every time you are facing the timeout issue, or only on the specific time you are getting the timeout issue? So these type of questions you need to get it from the requester, which will help you lot to start investigate. Okay, don't go blindly and connect to the VM and keep your mouse and rotate your mouse like anything. It won't help you, sir. It's again, you will stuck somewhere. Get the proper, okay, inputs from the requester. What type of transactions, how frequently, when how much time it is taking earlier, any code deployment, any changes from the application light, from the code level, from the SQL level. So all these inputs we need to get it from the requester to start investigating, because sometimes some requesters are too frustrated. Okay, because see, we are working for 24/7 support, right? So for example, Vinod is working on morning shift and Sharath is working on night afternoon shift. So 3 shifts, right? Okay, first half, second half, third half. So first half is working by Vinod, second half is working by Shiva, third half is working by Maruti. So Vinod started investigate by asking few questions from the requester, and he is not able to fix the issue, and again he transferred to the Shiva. Shiva went again to the customer asking some more questions. Okay, but Shiva is not able to fix the issue and he hand over to the Maruti. Maruti is also asking few more questions to the requester. Now tell me how requester will frustrated. Then definitely requester will tell to Maruti, how many times I need to tell you, boss? Yes or no? Hey, yes or
Yes,
no?
yes.
So get the inputs properly before you start investigate. Okay, don't blindly, whenever any request asking, don't blindly go and uh, move your mouse anything like a SQL Server, play with SQL Server, nothing we found. You need to get the proper inputs from the requester. That is my point of view. That will help you a lot, sir, when you start investigate anything. Okay, any questions? We'll discuss all these concepts, sir. Just I just mentioned, as a DBA, uh, as a, who are working currently, they can understood. Okay, when someone is contacting you, definitely you will have a number of bubbles in your mind striking. Okay, I need to go for memory or CPU or IO. Okay, so that's what I just make this slide. Okay, as a key responsibility for the DBAs is capacity management, security management, high availability management, database and recovery management, performance tuning, process improvement, daily, weekly, monthly maintenance, installation, upgradation, patching, health checks, and report analysis. All these will comes into the key responsibilities as a DBA. Okay, so one of the key factor is capacity planning. So mostly Your leads will work with the capacity planning. But nowadays, even you having the less experience also, you are also getting a chance where you need to work on the capacity planning, a DB capacity planning, okay, server capacity planning, database capacity planning, okay, security management, how you need to maintain the securities, okay. When you go to the securities level, so we will maintain, so we'll maintain the a security model, like one Word document, sir. For every application, we'll have the security model. Whenever users are requesting us to grant the permission, first we'll go and verify the security model. If that user is part of the security model, you can blindly go and grant the permission without any approval, because that user is part of the security model. Okay, so no worries. If he is a part of security model, you can blindly go and grant the permission. If it's not part of security model, you must and should take the approval from the either business owner or the application supervisor. Please don't grant any permission without approval, without taking approval on the production box. Please, sir, that is what my humble request. As a DBA, you never grant any permission at the production boxes without approval. Okay, so you need to while you are taking the KT itself, you need to take proper KT, knowledge transfer. So if you wanted to grant the permission in my environment, if you wanted to grant the permission at the production box, we'll take the business owner approval. If I wanted to grant the permission at a test environment, we'll take the application supervisor approval. If development, we can go and grant, okay, without taking approval. If it's part of security model, we'll directly blindly go and grant the permission. Okay, so definitely, sir, you will caught, because we have GSM team. Please be careful. GSM. Anyone knows what is GSM? Who are already working? Every organization will maintain GSM. Every project will maintain GSM. Global Security Management. Sir, you are a DBS and you have the sysadmin. You can play with the servers. You can play with the SQL. I know, but you are under audit. Okay, with the GSM team. Let me give you one example, sir. Okay, one of our colleague granted the permission to the production box without any ticket. So without any ticket, then GSM audit, because it is a production box, and GSM reviewed it and he dropped a mail. Please provide the ticket details for so and so activity. But he forgot to create the ticket. He blindly granted the permission. That went to my leads. Even what my leads also suggested, GSM won't listen any words. Okay, GSM just want the ticket. Please, if you are performing anything over the real world on production or development or test, please request a ticket. Without ticket, don't go and perform any operation. Okay, because GSM is keep on auditing. So that when GSM just require the ticket, if you provide the ticket, GSM will be silent. If you are not providing the ticket, they won't leave you. Okay, they will keep on asking you, please provide the ticket on so and so activity. Okay, that be careful, sir, when you are working with the security. As a DBA, we are also audit, okay, with the GSM team, Global Security Management team. Okay, don't blindly, okay, we are DBS, no one will do anything, we can perform any changes or the production box. No, sir, you will be audit when you are performing insert or update or delete or create anything without the ticket, you will audit. Okay, that be careful. High availability management, so we have log shipping, mirroring, okay, clustering, always on. So all this will comes into the high availability management, so we'll discuss a lot. And the backup restore recovery is very, very crucial. So as a DBA, we need to protect our data, right? As a DBA, we need to protect the data. How you will protect the data? By keeping the backup in a secured place. Okay, if something goes wrong, I can recover with the help of backups. And the performance tuning is also will plays a key role. Okay, and the process management, very, very, very important, sir. you need to know about the process. Who are starting the career as a DBA? When you select any one of the organization, when you enter into the organization, please get process clearly. Make a note, take a pen, take a notebook, notepad, written, sir. Don't hesitate, okay? Even you are experienced people also. I saw like who is having 30 years experience, okay? They're also making a note. Okay, don't hesitate to carry a pen and notepad when you are going to any conference room, because you need to make it, because in a day to day our busy work, definitely we will forget, sir. Definitely we will forget. Okay, so make a note completely. Everyone able to hear, right? I am the only one person who is speaking now. Vinod, Sharath.
Yeah, we can.
Where with you?
Okay, okay, please, that is one request. Don't forget a notepad or a pen. Okay, please follow the process. Process is very important than technical. In my point of view, process is very important than technical. Okay, so then technical comes into picture. Okay, after the process only technical will comes into the picture. Not only SQL, sir. Not only I'm telling to the SQL Server DBS. Any you are working in IT means you mustn't should know about your process. What can do, what cannot do. Okay, that definitely you need to know, because we are responsible to the application team. If something goes wrong, the application team will contact the DBS. Then we are the need to provide the justification. Please be conscious when you are dealing with the process. Okay, then daily and weekly and maintenance, monthly maintenance. Okay, and installation, upgradation, patching, health checkups, and report analysis. We'll discuss about this in the coming sessions. So these are the some key responsibilities as a DBA. Need to make a note, everyone. Okay. Next, a 24/7 delivery model. So if who are working, so if I ask someone, okay, how many servers you are maintaining? So Maruti, how many servers you are maintaining in Oracle? Or who are working? Can you please?
No. I'm not working on that.
Okay, if anyone is just server count, sir. I am not asking about your okay, nothing. Just server count.
20 servers we are maintaining.
Okay, so in I'm maintaining around 4,000 to 4,500 servers. Okay, so my application is maintaining 4,000 to 4,500 servers. How huge? Only SQL servers, sir. I am telling only SQL servers. Entire my project is maintaining around 90 to 1 lakh servers. 90 to 1 lakh servers. Okay, that includes Java, PHP, .NET. Every technology is part of different, right? So as part of my SQL server, we are maintaining around 4,000 to 4,500 servers. Okay, currently I'm not working in that organization. Okay, earlier 1 year back I just supported on that organization. So on that day, so our count is 4,000. I'm not sure, maybe it is increased because we are increasing, keep on broadly. Okay, so to maintain 4,000 servers is manually, it's no, right? So at least you require some tools. So what are the tools mostly here? Before directly going to the tools are escalation, education, very important. So when you go to the DBA, we have three levels of DBS, sir. One is L1 DBS, L2 DBS, L3 DBS. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Okay, so when you got any request, so you are not able to fix that one, it is a critical, then you will escalate to the anyone who is having more knowledge, right? Don't escalate will comes into two, sir. Internal escalate, escalate by the customer. Escalate by the customer is different. Okay, so here it is a completely, today we are discussing only internal, sir. L1 DBS will escalate to the L2 DBS, L2 DBS will escalate to the L3 DBS, L3 DBS will escalate to the SMEs, your SME will escalate to the Microsoft. That is what. Okay, escalate is nothing but taking a help. See, internally Again, I am telling, please, sir, it is internal. Okay, it is a internal. Okay, I am taking help from who is having no more knowledge. Escalate in the sense, don't hesitate to ask help from any one of your colleague who is having more knowledge. If you stuck somewhere, you just got a ticket and you worked and you were not able to fix, and that is critical and application is down, in that time go and ask, take help from any one of your time. That is also one type of escalation. Sorry. Okay, so escalation education. Okay, so escalate means taking a help from who is having more knowledge. Education means, so L3 DBS can educate L2 DBS, L2 DBS can educate L1 DBS, right? Escalation education need to be balanced in every organization, internally, not externally, sir, internally, so that everyone will your project will move very smoothly. Okay, so all my 4,000 servers will be keep in one monitoring tool, sir. So we are using the SCOM as a monitoring tool. Okay, so we will include all the servers in the SCOM, all the 4,000 servers in the SCOM. SCOM is a monitoring tool, sir. We'll keep all the servers into the SCOM, so that SCOM is keep an eye on all the servers. Like we will configure some alerts like data file full, temp DB full, disk full, okay, CPU, memory, IO. So all this will predefined alerts will be kept in the SCOM. So we'll, no worries, sir. Again, we will come in the ITL process. So we will discuss a lot about in ITL process again. Okay. So so database servers will keep in the monitoring tool. So your monitoring will tool will keep on eye on all the servers which are including in that SCOM tool, and every will have the engine, right? So that engine will collect the alerts. If something goes wrong, then it will directly move into the if you are using ticketing tools, sir. So for example, if in your organization you are using ticketing tool like ServiceNow, BMC Remedy, HPOV, any ticketing tool, it will convert this alert into the form of incident. It will convert in the form of incident, or you may receive a mail or a web portal or via call. You can configuration is different, sir, up to your project. So for example, you are using a ticketing tool, directly it will go for a ticketing tool like uh, Zira or Nagi OS is the DevOps ticketing tool, sir. So nowadays, most of the people is also using Jira tool or Nagi OS or ServiceNow or HPOV or BMC Remedy or the ticketing tool. We'll discuss a lot about this in ITL process. So it will rise directly one incident to your ticketing tool. Okay, so then we have different levels, right? L1, L2, L3, L4. So each level L1 DBS will pick the ticket and they will hand over to the L2 DBS. L2 DBS start working on that. So if in case if L2 DBS is not able to fix the issue, it will go to the L3 DBS. If L3 DBS is not able to go, it will go to the on-site DBS. Okay, and every ticketing tool will maintain the database to track the reports. Okay, all the tickets whatever you are working will be part of this database. You can pull the report and you can start analyzing the performance. Okay, so how many tickets are generated last month? Okay, that will comes into the problem management. Okay, so this is what 24/7 delivery model. So your monitoring tool is keep on monitoring, and if something goes wrong, it will raises the alerts into the alerts in the form of incident to the ticketing tool. That incident will be handled by L1, L2, L3 DPS, and you can track that incident history completely. You can go and monitor from the database level. Any questions?
So monitoring
Yes.
tools. So how many monitoring tools do you have? Which one we are using?
Lot many tools are available, Marathi. Okay, depends on uh, your organization. HPOVs will acts as a ticketing tool and acts as a monitoring tool. SCOM will completely acts as a monitoring tool. Okay, lot many monitoring tools. That depends on what monitoring tool your organization is using.
Okay.
So we complete so early today. Okay, so that's all from today's session. So any questions from your side? Any?
Chiku, what are the regular times for the session?
That let me pause the recording, sir.